Fabinho and Thiago may be back, but Liverpool aren't out of the woods yet. Jurgen Klopp still has to deal with an extensive injury list that includes their first-choice centre-back pairing of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez. Can they bring in a defender in January as cover, and how hard have their hopes of retaining the title been hit?
So, Neil, good news aside, there's still a lot of players missing for Klopp, and this does happen to every team. Every team goes through their injury crisis with whatever variation at different points of the season. But the epicentre of Liverpool's issues is obviously at centre-back, and not having Van Dijk and Joe Gomez for basically the entirety of the season does mean that Rhys Williams, Nat Phillips are going to get the opportunity to come in. You obviously, with your background knowledge, have seen more of them. What could you sort of give as an insight into the kind of how they're going to be able to perform in those huge players' absence?
Yeah, well, it's a big ask. It'd be a big ask for any player. You know, if people talk about Liverpool making a sign. If Liverpool make a big sign in January, they're coming in with the tag of, right, you're going to step into Virgil van Dijk's shoes. It's a big ask for an established footballer to do that. Never mind a 19-year-old in Rhys Williams or a 23-year-old in Nat Phillips who's got good temperament to him. I think he's not someone who's rash and emotional, good in the air. Rhys Williams is probably more talented, better on the ball, quicker. I think it will be a bit of a horses for courses approach from Jurgen Klopp. Maybe Nat Phillips playing against the sides that are going to be a bit more robust and physical. Rhys Williams playing against the sides that are going to maybe drop off and give Liverpool a little bit more of the ball and a bit more of an ability to build the game.
Klopp doesn't seem to be the kind of guy who will rush into a transfer, but his hand has kind of been a little bit forced here. Is he likely to go into the market, and if so, who does he want?
Yeah, well, is he likely to go into the market? I think he's far likelier now than he was if you had asked me, when the transfer window shut at the start of October. I think Liverpool probably needed to sign a centre-back in the summer.
After losing Lovren as well.
After losing Lovren. I think that would have been, if you were talking about next summer and you were saying, well, what's number one priority on their list, I'd have said the centre-back. When Jurgen Klopp's shown in the past, he's shown a couple of sides. He's shown occasionally that he will do a quick fix. Adrian was a quick fix, for example, on a free transfer. It's hard to find top players available in January, full stop. I think it's going to be even harder to find top centre-backs available because I think everyone's looking for one. There are pros and cons to each of them. You think of Koulibaly at Napoli would probably be he's one of the best I've seen at Anfield in recent seasons, but 29 and the issue is maybe is he on that slope rather than the way up. There's a guy at Schalke who's been linked for Liverpool called Ozan Kabak, Turkish international, who looks like he fits the bill in terms of profile. Right age and good in the air, good on the ball. And I think Ben White would be another one at Brighton who'd be on that list. Whether they can sort of commit 30 or 40 million pounds for an emergency sign, if you want to call it that, I don't know. But I personally think that at the very least, they have to be looking to do that because it could well be the difference between success and failure this season.
The Christmas period is usually when a title challenge is made or broken. Yeah. Now, this year, obviously for Liverpool, that's going to be very inhibited. Do you think Liverpool can still win the league this year? And how important is it that they do compound the success of last season?
Yeah, well, it's funny actually. I mean, if you'd have asked me you'd asked me going into the Everton game, even after Aston Villa, I'd have said absolute certainty Liverpool to win the league. I was convinced. I mean, I watched them against Arsenal, and thought, wow, they're just such a strong side. I wouldn't speak with the same certainty now because of obviously all the issues that have come, and in particular Van Dijk's absence, and compounding that by Gomez's absence as well. I think that will put pressure on him, especially against good sides. You think about playing Tottenham with Son and Kane, and you're going to be without, potentially 3 of your first choice back 4. But I'm not overly impressed by everyone else. Manchester United are doing nothing. Chelsea, good side, yeah, but I think they've got weaknesses as well. Tottenham, surprising a few people, but I think they're also susceptible to, if you take, I've just mentioned Kane and Son, if you take either of those two out of the Tottenham side, then that affects their chances. Don't think Arsenal are going to challenge. City, from what I've seen so far this season, and not what I've seen in the past couple of seasons, they look a little bit more thrown together. I don't think Liverpool are going to be getting left behind. I think they're going to have to battle a lot harder than maybe I thought they would at the start of the season to win it. In terms of how important it is, it is important. Obviously, Liverpool want to win the league. They don't want to become that team that won the league once and then no one ever heard from them again. I don't see that being the case. But I think fans will understand this season is so difficult, and it's become such a grind in every sense. I mean, you look at the last fortnight of the international break. It feels like I've been reacting every day to some sort of setback, on Liverpool's case, or some sort of panic. I think as long as they're competitive and in and around those big trophies, I think Liverpool will be fine. And I wouldn't be writing them off if they didn't win the league. I wouldn't be saying that their time's been and gone. I think it's just this isn't such an unusual season that unusual things potentially are going to happen. But I think Liverpool are still the team to beat, and that's emphasised by the fact that they've had all these problems and they're still 1 point off the top, and they've only lost one game.